most popular sort of music is storytelling music. And one day, about 3 years ago, I was driving down the road, and I was in a good mood. It was a beautiful day, and I'm spinning through the FM dial, and a country music song fills the cab. And my normal response to this sort of catastrophe is to form a fist and begin punching the radio until the noise stops. But for some reason, I decided to listen this day. It was kind of heartfelt in the singer's voice. And the singer starts telling a story. And the story is about a young man who's going to go to his future father-in-law's house and ask for the daughter's hand in marriage. And the older man makes the young man wait in the living room, kind of torturing him a little bit. And he looks at the walls, and he sees pictures all over the walls of his sweetheart as a little girl. And she's like eating a popsicle, she's running through the sprinkler, she's riding her first bike, she's dancing with her dad. She's dressed up as Cinderella, she's playing Cinderella. And the young man sort of crashes in on top of him at that moment, that he's there to take something precious from the father. He's there to steal Cinderella, that's the name of the song. So I'm feeling good. The next thing I know, I'm blind from tears and I'm veering off the road to save my life. And I'm doing so to save my life, and more of the time, still more than a decade off, my own little girls are going to abandon me. They're going to leave me. And I lost it. I was blubbering and sobbing and choking. It was a really pathetic display. It's like somebody just stomped my puppy to death. That's how I was acting. But part of it was also having sort of an out-of-body experience and thinking about, whoa, this is weird. How can this be? How can this be happening? I'm a grown man, I'm not really a weeper, and I'm sort of melted into helplessness, into this puddle, by the sort of music I despise. Okay? So, and who hasn't had a similar experience? I think we've all had experiences like this before, maybe not to this extent. But when we surrender ourselves to fiction, we allow ourselves to be invaded by the telephone. You can imagine Chuck Wicks sort of in my skull, in my head, squatting there in the dark, milking glands, kindling neurons, just seizing control of me emotionally, cognitively. It's amazing. It happens all the time. So I wrote the book because I wanted to understand more about what happened to me that day. And in so doing, try to understand something more about the vast and witchy, weird power of story in human life. So there's an old debate that's been carried out over centuries between philosophers and scientists about what constitutes the human essence. What is it that most fundamentally sets us apart from the rest of creation? When we argue, when we say our species name, Homo sapiens, we're making an argument about what it is that sets us apart. We're saying it's our sapience that sets us apart. It's our intelligence, our wisdom. But others say, no, that's not the whole story. We're not all that rational, actually. Maybe it's upright posture, actually. Maybe it's the sophistication of tool use, or maybe it's cooking, or playfulness, or the sophistication of language and culture and social behavior. And all those things are really, really important. I'm not here to downgrade any of them. I'm just here to say that this item is typically left off the list, storytelling, the way that human beings live in fiction. Okay? Let me give you a sense of what I'm talking about. One of the reasons scientists have steered clear of storytelling, have steered clear of fiction, there hasn't been a lot of methodologically scientific research into fiction, is because they basically respected the two cultures barrier. They've bought into the idea that fiction is a cultural product. It's not of nature, it's not in their territory, it's not in their magisterium. But that's one-sided. Fiction is clearly a cultural part, but it's clearly also natural. It blooms naturally in us. If you take small children and you put them into a room, you will see the spontaneous creation of story art. Like skilled improv performers, they're going to choose rules, they're going to choose roles, they're going to choose a scenario, they're going to act it out, they're going to break character periodically to adjust the scenario, to give each other performance notes. And we don't have to train them to do any of this. No training needed. No bribery needed. We don't need to bribe them to do this like we need to bribe them to eat their broccoli. All of this is developing in clear developmental stages. So wherever you go from the slums to the suburbs to tribal and band societies or modern Western societies, we see these skills of pretend play developing in clear stages. So a 1-year-old little girl can take a banana and put it to her ear and pretend that she's talking into it, or at least blabber into it. She can pretend it's a phone. At 2, she can do a simple drama where she's like, playing the bus driver and her mother is the passenger. At 3, she's starting to get sophisticated. She can develop character. She knows that she needs to pitch her voice differently if she's the king or if she's the cat. And at 4 years old, a child is entering into the golden age of children's pretend play. For 4 or 5 more years, she's going to be a master of riots and rebels in Neverland. Then around 8, 9, 10 years old, a little bit of a continuum here, the child begins to leave Neverland. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Peter Pan never leaves Neverland, and my argument is that we really never leave Neverland either. We spend vast chunks of our lives inside of stories, inside of fictions of various kinds. We don't leave Neverland, we just change how we do it. Instead of making up our own stories and acting them out, we absorb ourselves in other people's stories.